Welcome to the 32nd episode of the martial poetry series. In this video we're going for a drunken boxing movement again from the Ma family drunken boxing. And it's called Drunkard offers wine. It looks like this. Where you drink wine and then offer it. So it's like one of those classic lean backs where you drink wine yourself. This would be your block, and then this would be your strike, which is offering a glass to your opponent. So not only is it talking about the shape of the movement and how it looks, but it also talks about a very primary method of how drunken boxing fights and how it maneuvers through combat. So the symbolism is that you're going to make your opponent drunk. You're giving him his glass, you're more so force feeding it to him and trying to make him drunk. Now what this means is basically I want to put my opponent in a position where they're off balance and stumbling, almost as if they were doing drunken boxing, except they don't know drunken boxing, so they're not familiar with that kind of body positions. So drunken boxing would be familiar for having trained in all these ridiculous positions, but not them, right? So how it does this is through fujin, or floating power, which comes from internal force, but also in how we shape the force. So this actually is shown through the cup fist. So the cup fist, if I angle it here, I'm not straight wrist like this when I punch. I'm actually at a bent wrist. And this is usually where people say, oh, you're gonna break your wrist if you punch like that. And they're correct. If you punch straight like this, you will break your wrist. But because of the direction of how drunken boxing throws fists, it's not straight. If they do straight movements, they will do it with a straight wrist. But most of the punching movements within drunken boxing is actually on arcs. So it'll actually cover an arc rather than a straight line like this. So in this movement here, I'm not straight here, I'm arcing upwards. And this affects how the power will hit the opponent. It's not meant to penetrate straight into the opponent. It's meant to essentially take chips off. So it's like glancing blows. And why this essentially makes them drunk, right? When you do chipping power, when you do chipping blows, it will cause the body to turn. The body that you hit, it will cause it to turn. So if I punch at an arc and I gleam like this, you'll see it will naturally cause the body to turn. If I punch upwards, it will naturally cause the body to rotate. If I punch downwards, it will naturally cause the body to rotate. So by this chipping power, we're causing their torso to move in ways that they were not comfortable. So this essentially is the making them drunk, by causing them to move in ways that is foreign to them, and by forcing it upon them with offering their glass, right? So in this way, you can end up making them put into different positions that even resemble drunken boxing, but again, they're not familiar with drunken boxing, so they won't be very good at them. So I could block with one hand and then throw this cup. It will cause their body to turn, right? Much in the same way that you'll see like wushu people where they over-exaggerate. They throw the glass and then they whip their head back. But when this actually hits the head, it will cause them to whip their head back, which will take their eyes off of you. And then for a moment, they're essentially drunk, and then you continue to attack them, and it will cause them to continue to move in ways that their body is not comfortable with. And then you just keep beating them up because they suck. So yeah, that's the general theory, is that you're taking drinks yourself and you're offering drinks to them a little bit forcefully, though I might add. So, and then you, by that chance, make them drunk, make them lose their root, make them float, for example, right? And then, of course, we can always take them into a nice position where we make them bend over backwards, and then we kick out their leg, and then they go on the ground, and it's all good. So yeah, that's Drunkard Offers Wine from Ma Family Drunken Boxing, and this was the 32nd episode of the Martial Poetry series. See you in the next one.